Well, welcome everybody to Recovery Live. It's August 5th. Can you believe that? We're in August already. The summers go so fast. My name's Tom. I'm a recovered alcoholic uh, and a part of Came to Believe Recovery. We at Came to Believe Recovery many times call ourselves recovered because the big book tells us that we can be recovered. Um, when you come to a Came to Believe retreat, which is what we do all over the country and the world, is present retreats over a weekend where we take people through the steps as closely as they did back in the 1930s and 40s. And at the end of it, um, many people identify as recovered, just as our founders did. We leave you with a set of tools to work 10, 11, and 12, which we call living in the go. It's makes some people very nervous to hear us and others talk about being recovered. But every time we go through a weekend retreat, people come later and go, oh, yeah, I get it. Now I see what you mean. Not cured, recovered. And it's still a process of working, guys, to grow our connection with God, our contact, and the power to carry out our life and to keep our step 10 and our issues in check, and to break all those habits and to work and grow and to just reach all of our potential in the world. It's called living in the go, but we can do it from a position of being recovered. I want to welcome everybody today. Anna was the first one on today. I don't know if we're giving a shirt for the first one on today. Sarah's behind the scenes today working our backstage. Welcome, Sarah. We're waving at her. Lisa's on vacation. She'll probably join us again next week. Melissa, over there in Wales. We've got UK with us. Danny Richards, Dale Barker. How are you, buddy? He's down from Christmas, Florida. I don't know if he's there today or he might be over at the Kennedy Space Center. Not sure. Sue Foreman is on, and she's actually going to be one of our guests, but she's showing up in our chat here. Jamie Wade, good. Glad to see everybody today. Some really great things, some great news and happenings in Came to Believe Recovery. We do have a retreat in Indiana coming up, a brand new retreat in Indiana in a couple of weeks, the end of August. There is still some space if you're in that area, in the Terre Haute, Indianapolis kind of area. We'd love to see you. Then in September, we're also going to be in California the same weekend at Loma Mar for our second retreat at Redwood Glen. I think there's still some spaces left in that. And a couple of weeks later, we'll be in Nevada City. Then we're going to be in the New York area, guys. And we haven't been in the New York, New Jersey area for a couple of years now because of COVID. We've had cancellations at the Schoolies Mountain Retreat, which is in Hackettstown, New Jersey. And it's a beautiful place. We have a hayride. And we're going to put that one on this year and bring some of our newfound friends from Pennsylvania coming over to help us with that. And we bring guys out from New York City. And then later in October, we're going to be in a rescue mission at St. Anthony's Franciscan Shelter in the South Bronx. Very exciting this week. We just had some great updates on that we're going to be able to do it. And the resources came through to allow us to bring the team in and do what we need to do. So some great thing, guys, really reaching out to the least, the last, and the lost in the most... the places that need it the most. So today we're going to talk about, as we always talk about everything recovery, today we want to talk a little bit about, our organization and a little bit about the backbone of Came to Believe Recovery and a lot of nonprofits is the volunteer. So what about volunteers, and how many do we have, and how are we managing them, and how do you manage volunteers, and what are issues with volunteers? It's a big conversation. So I want to bring my two guests on today. My first guest is from Los Angeles, California. She's a new volunteer, and she's actually going to help us on our team in the South Bronx. And I want to bring Deyra on.
Hi, Tom. Thank you for having me this morning. Deyra alcoholic, recovered alcoholic.
There we go. And Deyra it is morning there, right? 9 o'clock in the morning?
It is morning over here. Just very excited to join Recovery Live. Like I said, I'm new to volunteering, and I'm excited. I think it's a great opportunity to connect with the community and work on my recovery and help others and stay in the in service in this program. So very excited.
and we're really excited that you're so excited, Deyra. I mean, I met you first on virtual retreat, right? That was your first retreat,
Yeah.
was the virtual retreat during the pandemic, I think, or in 2021.
Yeah.
And and then you had, there was some feedback. I remember that you had really, what I think you found, which many found, is that it worked
It did work.
virtually.
It did work, even virtually. But you do need to do it very, like, focused. You need to close your door, not have distractions because it's online. So I did that, and it worked for me. It really saved my life. I think I'm sober today thanks to Came to Believe Recovery, and I am very grateful that the way the steps are being done through the guide is just an easy and very efficient way of doing them and getting through them quickly. I'm very excited. I mean, I went to that retreat online, and then I found a way to get to a in-person retreat. And I did that a couple months ago, maybe 4 months ago, here in California in Loma Mar. And that's my second retreat. And every time I do a retreat, I don't know what it is about it. It just really renews your soul. It's like you're being recovered, right? You're no longer broken. It's just this like great feeling when you're done with the retreat. So I'm in love. I mean, I'm all in.
Right. And, I met Deyra at Loma Mar. She came up and I remember she said hi, and then I didn't recognize you because from Zoom, and we see so many people, I hadn't recognized you. And then we talked for just a minute and I'm like, oh yeah, now I know who you are. Yeah. But Deyra and I and others, and she was engaging with Alicia and our other leaders during the weekend, but it was really fun to watch you kind of get even more and more excited over the weekend. And I knew at the end, Alicia said, she's going to help us. She's going to be wanting it. And I know that you want to see us come to the LA area, which is we haven't been there yet. We're not in Southern California, big time Northern California. But I think over this next month or two, as we prepare for the South Bronx, Deyra, and then put that on, and that LA's right around the corner, maybe the first of the year, we find a way down there. I'm really looking forward to putting a team together down there and getting you some help.
Yes, exactly. Looking forward to it. I think we have a lot of people that would like to be part of it.
So one of the things, guys, that Deyra is bringing, we talked last week, I think, a little bit about diversity in our organization and being able to actually have the tools and resources to reach some of the demographics and contingent, the people that we need to. And it really reared its head when I went to the South Bronx and found out that some of the people in this shelter speak Spanish only. I mean, Father Ignatius said not a word of English. And so there was a challenge for me to say, and then we got back and I was talking to Lisa and Casera, and we were like, oh my gosh, who do we have? And we kind of scoured our volunteer group, and Deyra popped up and speaks fluent Spanish and is going to come and do this. And that's part of the big thing here, is that being able to do these things, Deyra. So we really want to thank you for being able to share your talents and your ability to come and do this stuff to help this group of people that without you, we wouldn't be able to do this.
Thank you. No, I am very honored. And I think that I'm an agent of God now. I'm here to help others and give back what was given to me. And I'm excited to help these people out and getting them through the steps. So I'm here for a reason, just to help out.
And there's a really, really, really good chance that you're going to get such a great experience being in the South Bronx in October. You know what that is, don't you?
Yeah.
You don't, do you?
I think I do.
Yeah. Going to see the Yankees in the playoffs.
Yes.
Because Yankee Stadium is about 5 blocks from this shelter. And wait for Dale Barker to make a comment, because he will. But it looks like they're going to be in the playoffs. So maybe we'll have a fun night and the Yankees will be in the playoffs, and we'll take the team over and have some fun in the Bronx. I was at a game last week and I haven't been there in 2 years. Well, no, I guess I went once last year. Fun to be in the ballpark. Anyway, so it's great to have you today. I'm so glad that you've joined us today, Deyra, and we're going to get in here in our discussion. So I want to bring my other next guest on, My next guest is one of our founding members. She's one of the authors of the Legacy Guide. She's been here from the beginning. She knew Clarence, and she has also on the side been in volunteering in volunteer organizations, studying volunteerism, starting volunteers, everything you want to know for decades. And she will have invaluable input and insight into our conversation. So I'd love to bring the great, honored Sue Foreman on.
For decades. Thank you for decades. Lovely that it wasn't centuries. I'm very grateful.
I
for
was
the
careful
decades.
not to say that, Sue.
Oh,
But thanks for coming. Now, Sue is in Winter Park, Florida, which, if you don't know, that's outside of Orlando. I mean, sometimes Sue is in Waynesville, North Carolina, but she's in Winter Park today. And how's the weather down in Florida today? She's going to look outside to tell me.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Just gorgeous out there. It's like, oh man, I guess I could tell you it's 90 degrees. It's only noon. It's going to be a nice cool day. Only 90.
Hello, Wesley from Kentucky. We got you guys. We're going to be in Kentucky before long because we got a huge contingent from Kentucky that keeps showing up on Recovery Live, and I got to figure out a way. I'm going to call Anna here next week, I think, and see if we can figure out a way to come out there to Lexington and see if we can put something together. But again, it'll be volunteers.
I gotta say, I am thrilled with the Yankee Stadium, the game. Recovery Center in Spanish. I bet you'll find a few other people that only speak Spanish that will come and help. Don't you think? Have you had any other responses?
We have not, but we're still working the system. Maybe Deyra knows somebody in her world that does, and we'll get them trained up real quick. But Emilio Mesa.
Emilio, how about him?
I spoke with him, and he said he doesn't really speak it in his life. So he said it would be hard for him to translate. Now we're going to get the Legacy Guide translated. Actually, Deyra's organization, she has somebody that's as we speak-ish. It's being translated, right, Deyra? Kind of.
Yeah, it's being translated right now as we speak.
Now we do have a couple Spanish drafts. Have you had them? Do you have access to the attempts that we have had in the past?
She does not. We just sent her to let them start from scratch. She's going right. And it's going to be not just a word for word. It's going to have the grammar.
Can't be. Yeah, it can't be word for word.
It'll be translated.
It has to be like, the native thing.
Follow up with me later, because I know we've tried it twice, and both times, because of the dialects, it sort of depends on where you're taking it. So we had one that was from Costa Rica, and then one that was kind of Spanish, and it's
Mexican, and it's different. You're right. Yeah, exactly. It needs to be as neutral as possible so most people can understand it. Very standard, neutral Spanish.
Yeah. Yes.
But it is. I mean, for me, I came to this country like when I was 12, and it's still hard to translate. Like in the moment, like when you're just translating every single word, so I can see why some people would say, hey, I don't feel comfortable, I'm fluent 50-50, like I'm Spanish and like I can speak it fluently, but I see why some people would be a little hesitant and they might not feel like,
I think that's the perfect segue into volunteerism, because you said it's not perfect and people hesitate to step forward because they are not perfect. Would you say that's a segue to our topic of the day, Tom?
I would say that's a perfect segue.
Because we're basing our whole organization on the fact that our 12 steps says carry the message to those still hurting, the 12 steps. So right at the end of our 12 steps, we are charged with moving forward to something we don't know much about and we're so imperfect at. Therefore, I better not volunteer, because who am I? I'm so imperfect. And yet, if people who are imperfect and aren't good at something don't step up and say, I'll do it anyway, we are not carrying the message.
And the growth that it comes with that too. I think Alicia at the retreat, she said you have to be uncomfortable to grow, and you have to step it up, so you can take that risk. It is scary. It is, it is intimidating, but if you don't take that jump, you're not going to grow, right?
My morning meditation I shared with Will, and Will, I'll just call him Will, this morning, and he is praying. The whole theme of it was, Lord, make me uncomfortable. Look at there.
We want to get a t-shirt made that says embrace uncomfortable.
Mm.
That would be a good one. That would be
from uncomfortable comes growth. Yeah.
Right. If Lisa was on, she'd already be designing the shirt and putting it up behind us for us to see. But embrace uncomfortable. I mean, it's really important. But what happens to us as we go through the steps is we didn't have the tools before, and that's what had us in our brokenness. All of a sudden we have these tools, and this whole thing about living in the go and changing your mindset and having the power to change a mindset from a fixed to a growth mindset. That allows you to say, maybe I can do what I couldn't do before.
Yeah. And what are tools ever used for? They're never tools. They're never used to look at. And the tool is never the point. The tool is only the device that you use in order to build, to grow, to create. So that's goes back
to work. Put it to work, right?
To put it to work. And if you don't put it to work, it doesn't do anything. And you can't know how to use it. You can't get on a bike and say, yeah, I'm going to. You have to practice it in all our affairs.
Right. And having had an experience like we have when you go through the steps like this, and have it really touch your soul and your heart and your spirit, there's a motivation to want to share it. And then if we can give I don't know, what did you call it, a template or a
platform, even
a platform to allow a volunteer to come in and say, here's a platform that I can share this thing, whether with a level to let them be uncomfortable, but uncomfortable while we support along the way, and the right tools. I believe that's part of what attracted Deyra. She saw that we had a little bit of organization. You could tell us yes or no, and that there was something to volunteer for, right? And that your time would be beneficial, and it would allow you to share your passion. I assume, I'm talking for you, you can tell us, but that was part of why you wanted to do this.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, definitely. And I think the fact that what was given to me, I feel like I have to give it back. Like this program says, like, to keep a gift, we have to keep passing it on, right? And when I came into AA, I was lost, miserable, unhappy, and someone was there to hold my hand. Someone gave me their hand. I feel like I want to give back. So maybe someone out there is in need, and I'm here now, recovered. I can transmit the message, pass on that message. And that's very exciting and very fulfilling. That feeling of just sharing what you've been through, the experience, like Tom said, going through the experience, it's just an amazing thing. So
if Dale were here, he'd say, I can give you the clubs. Come on out. We'll stand on the tee. He's a big golf pro. So when he's not giving guidance at the NASA, looking at rockets, but the tools are the clubs and the equipment, but you still stand up there and have to hit it one time. Or then one time you're going to hit it really great, and it'll always make you come back, that one great shot. Right. I hit one out of 130.
I play golf, and I can relate to that feeling. Once you hit it on the sweet spot once, you're hooked. You got to come back and do it again.
Probably true in baseball too, I suppose. One home run, I could do it again.
Yeah, one home. Well, I said this to someone the other day. Baseball is the one sport where you're only successful 1/3 of the time, and you go in the Hall of Fame. 2/3 of the time you fail, and you go right. If you're a 300 hitter, you'll be in the Hall of Fame. If your career is a 300 hitter, pretty much. But I think that it's a great point that you guys are making, is that when we see the results, when you're given the ability to actually touch somebody, and that's the other thing with allowing a volunteer to be in their sweet spot, to do what they think they're doing, and then have them see that it matters. When you have that person and you do a fifth step with them, right there, and they cry and they're connected, and all of a sudden, you know it. I mean, you're like, oh my, this is why I did this. And you really did make someone change, and then see them a year later. I mean, for me, seeing you guys keep coming back and watching Deyra and others, Alicia and others. I mean, Alicia's only been with us a year, not even a year. Alicia Martinez, who has just jumped in as a volunteer at the highest level. But it's really, I think that's a great point. You got to see a success someplace, and that brings you in.
Oh, and that you have hit the nail on the head, because of course I've been sort of at this since 1979 or maybe 74. And if anybody asks me, what is it? It is absolutely being a witness to the transformative power of the steps. And I've seen more than I can count of people who come in completely defeated, and in a very short time, where their lives, they are given the clubs, they stand up there and they know they can do it. And then they're empowered to continue and empowered to help others, even though they're imperfect and never thought they would ever be in a position to be able to help anybody. And because of their weakness, they are made enormously, profoundly strong. And if they came in knowing everything and being just fine, they're completely useless. It's an enormous honor and pleasure to be a witness to the work of a higher power.
Yeah, like Tom said, you got to see that success that gives you that hope, that gives you that motivation to come back and do it again, and share the message and help others and stay in service, you know?
So you're right, Sue. When I came in, it was 6 months later that I decided to go back to school. But before I came through the steps, before I got that power, before I had that experience, that transformation, I would not have thought I could have done that. I wouldn't have even thought that these were things I should try. But then I did. And then I allowed the success to build on success, to build on success. And now I'll say something that comes up that I can't do that. That's too hard. I say, well, wait a minute. How many other things did I think that about? You know, and that I did overcome. So now my growth mindset.
Maybe I'm smarter than I thought I was, or maybe I'm not.
Says, I'll give it a try.
Maybe I don't need to be any smarter.
Right. So let's talk a little. Let's get into this whole thing about being a volunteer and how we are, and you know, maybe this will inspire some of our guests to be a volunteer with us, or at least, and let them know a little bit more about what goes on behind the scenes, and how do we function across the country and the world, and how are we looking to move forward so that we can successfully bring this message to everybody, right? So Came to Believe Recovery, really, if you guys know, it's 98% volunteers, right? We have hundreds
I go 99.
Yeah, 99.
99 and 44 100ths.
Right, percent volunteers. And we recognize as an organization that we probably need a few more people paid overseeing volunteers, because that's an important part of volunteers.
Serving them.
Is guidance and management, volunteer management, and making sure our volunteers have the resources. But, you know, across the country, I think, Sue, we recognize about 300 people who would say they volunteer for us, or would say yes. But about 100 that are engaged, that volunteer, and about 40 that are really engaged, that show up, 30 or 40.
And then engaged has a little tag on it that's empowered. There are many, I think, are that have, and I'm not saying that you get dubbed empowered. I'm saying that they're engaged and watching, but there are some that are courageous enough to step out and risk and make the commitment to spend the time and do the struggle, because it's the logistics and life always gets in the way. So
Mission Increase has a flow chart to move people from just being a participant to being engaged, and then to being like a partner. And so that process of moving people through as an organization, when we're managing volunteers, even if you were managing employees, which they say should have some of this management stuff too.
I love that you use the word behind the scenes also. It's I don't think it's really the Wizard of Oz thing, but when you're able to volunteer, you begin to see the workings behind. It's like going below the scenes in Disney or working at the Smithsonian as a tour guide, and you only get to see the displays. But if you're the guide, you get to get behind and see what's really happening, the reality of it all. And so just taking that extra step gets you behind the scenes.
And I think, we have our volunteer teams at the highest level that getting ready for a retreat of 6 or 7 people. And the Deyra has just started to join our meetings, and you start to see that you don't just show up that day and run the retreat, that there's some stuff that goes on behind the scenes, as we say, behind the scenes in organization, right? In preparation.
Yeah. Preparation.
And that's where we get the opportunity to value our volunteers, to show them that they matter, empower them, guide them, give them some management, make them feel like and make sure they're in the right job, right? The job that really is their wheelhouse, if there is one, because volunteers come because they want to do something. And the last thing I think a volunteer is volunteering and then not get to do what they wanted to do. They leave quicker than employees do.
Well, yes, they get vote with their feet.
So, I get a bunch of volunteers who want to come and speak at all the retreats, but we can't have everybody speak. And I love a volunteer says, I want to do a registration, which is what Deyra said. She wants to do a registration. And you so
thank you.
But it's a skill apparently that she has, and she feels like that would be something she could do organized and deals well with the computer and the spreadsheets and
sometimes I think with volunteering, there's a lot of the resistance for a lot of people that they feel like, I don't have time, I'm busy. Like for me, since I got sober, it changed my life. I never volunteered before as much. I mean, I did it a little in high school and that was it. I was so self-centered, I would say, and so selfish in my own self that I didn't feel like I had to give someone else, give my time and share that time with other people. And I think that is so crucial to our recovery and to our, our well-being, our spirits. It's so crucial to just give time back to other people and volunteer, be of service. But that's a big challenge, I think, that a lot of people I'm thinking that go through, because that was the challenge for me.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, Deyra. We talk a lot at retreats about the 6 hours of your day. I know Steve talks about that, and it's a bunch of us now have jumped on that bandwagon. Steve, a foreman, Sue's husband, who will say, we get sober and all of a sudden we have 5 or 6 hours of a day that we used to drink or drug or whatever. What are we going to do with our 5 or 6 hours? And Alicia and I are coming up with the healthy lifestyles. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of workshops. There's a lot of help. There's 10, 11, and 12. There's volunteering. All of a sudden, right there, you find maybe I do have a few hours here and there to do something. And my heart's in it.
But you still have the same mind that you have to manage, and it's going 100% just like it always had. It's spinning. It's, you've got to have a way to focus all that energy that's still between your ears. And you used to be able to calm it down and organize it with drugs or something else, some addiction. So now, hey, find a way to really focus it and get it into a vision.
Do something good. Like Tom said, we got to feel ourselves with something. Like, what is it that we're going to be feeling ourselves with,
So I have a question for you, Deyra, because I know you run your own business, right? You're a small business owner yourself, and you're running. So the tendency of us to be workaholics or something-aholic, or what we call addiction switching. And I don't know if working a lot is an addiction switch. Steve would not think so, right? Steve would think,
working switched to it because he always had it.
Right. I mean, working a lot. Sometimes I have told people, go to work, do an extra shift. A lot of us have economic issues when we come out of recovery, and we need to pay off our bills, and we need to do things and develop some habits. So that's not such a bad thing. But I could see with somebody like you, Deyra, that could be something that all of a sudden you're now sober, you don't have anything, and you got all this extra time, and what you decide to do is just work yourself to death. Have you had any of that issue since you've been sober?
Yeah, I think early in my sobriety, I was addiction shifting, like you said, putting my energy. But I think thanks to the program, came to believe recovery, God, being spiritually fit and all these things, I'm trying to just stay balanced. I don't need to be putting so much, but I need to incorporate this volunteering in my life and this being of service in my life, because I know it's so important to my recovery. So yes, I am a business owner, and I'm busy with a lot of things, and I want to make money like everyone else. But at the same time, I don't want to overload myself with that, with just do one thing. Like, I used to be that way. I'm getting better. I'm recovered now after doing the steps with Came to Believe, and I just have to keep working at it. Like Sue was saying, it's like going to the out in the club and hitting that club and practicing it. It's a practice, right? So it does happen, but I think we just have to, with that extra time we have being sober, what am I going to do with those extra 2 hours that I have now? Where am I going to go? I'm not going to go use and drink and do all these things. Might as well do something good for the community, help someone else, give back what was given to me. I think it's just getting to that point, of like being aware of where your time's going and balance it all, because it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of things that are going on, your personal life, your family, your business, but I think just everyone has 2 hours. I mean, we gain so much time when we get sober, like you said, and being of service. You just have to believe in who you're helping, what's the purpose. And if you believe in it, I think most people that are aware of that, they would be willing to give their time,
The balance and regulate. And so you focus on helping people. So you put yourself in the world of people who need help, but you don't want to ever do it alone. So the beauty of what I see with the Came to Believe is you are part of a very large team of people who have made certain steps, have made certain commitments, but are always seeking to grow. So those are the people I want to hang out with, because they're all doing the same work. I don't have to do the work on my coworkers here. We are supporting one another, but we're also learning. So where else would I go where I could pretend I'm helping these women from my small group that we meet like once a month. And every time I meet with them, they're just 4 of us on Zoom for an hour, every now and then. Every single time they teach me something. And I am just not getting that in anybody I go to dinner with. No place else is it that authentic. Yeah. So you can be in an authentic cohort of learners that together are carrying that message to somebody else that, is going to eventually say, why didn't anybody ever tell me this? But so you have to be in the group that doesn't have the message, but you have to be in a group that does. Is that a conundrum?
It's a conundrum.
So I think that's the beauty of the Came to Believe retreats, because you have to be in your team designing ways to be more effective in carrying the message to new people, but you're never doing it alone.
Yeah.
I was going to add the checks.
I was going to add one more thing. I've been always a person of all or nothing, black or white. And now like either I'm here or I go to this side. So I'd rather be addicted to helping other people and, my sobriety than on the other side. Right. So I'm going all in,
it's funny you say that. I mean, that's very honest, Darren. It's very true. We're all or nothing as addicts. It's why we were so good at that or so bad at it. Right. But it's also why we're so successful afterwards in many cases in everything we do. But it's that learning the balance. So you're all in a balanced way, right? You're all in at work, but you also know you got to stop at some point and eat dinner. You're all in the gym maybe, but you got to take a rest day. You got to but But the other thing I want to jump on in that is team. So Sue, you mentioned team a couple times, and a team culture is really important. First of all, I'm a huge fan of teams at work, real teams, working teams, not working groups, but a real team of people with complementary skills. And there's a criteria for a functional team. Tons of research, and Sue knows this, and Deyra, you may know this too, has said the product of a team is always greater than the product of individuals. A real team can produce more.
Absolutely.
And it's really true with volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be even more true to keep the volunteers working. You know, at work, they're getting paid. So whether you have a good team atmosphere or not, they probably stay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But in a volunteer organization, part of what you go to is the relationships, right? You're not getting paid. We got a little bit of selfishness. Let's just put it there. We like to go hang out with some of the people at retreats. I do. So creating a team atmosphere. Now here's the conundrum. That's our word of the day, maybe, Sue.
Okay.
Came to believe, guys, we really reverse engineered this organization. Okay. Most organizations start and then build. We were built and had to kind of
start,
pull together and then start. So we had a bunch of independent teams all over the world with a lot of their own, and they were given flexibility because there was very little organization or structure or policy or procedure or really need for any consistency beyond what they were doing in their local communities. So here we are with this disjointed set of teams all over the world doing what they always did, right, Sue? We always did it that way. And we're trying to pull out of that, or this is going to be Casera's, headache or challenge or opportunity. Let's say opportunity. She's behind the scenes now shaking her head. I can just see her. Is how do we bring all these independent teams into some sort of congruency around the country? And I think it's not a unique challenge for a nonprofit, but it's pretty unique for us to try to bring these already existing teams together to function in a way that allows us to go to the South Bronx with a team, to go to City Team, to go to St. Joseph, Missouri, to go to Indiana, and we're working it. But it takes this and this pulling this bigger team together. It's a challenge, guys.
Well, I want to just add to the challenge the fact that I'm looking at it with a longer experience. So you end up with lifetime friends that you didn't necessarily pick, whose life depends on their practicing principles of how to treat themselves and one another. And you hardly ever go into an organization with that combination, that our life depends on practicing certain principles about how we regulate and how we balance ourselves and how we treat other people. How do we move from self-centeredness to compassion and empathy? That's our mission in life. No, where do you go to work where that's the mission of your coworkers? We may not be good at it, but we're committed to getting better at it. So, yes, team. Yes, personal growth. Yes, the thing that happened was we changed somewhere in the turn of the century. We changed from personal area group. We got together as a group. We looked at each other and we suddenly had a different vision. We had a vision that together we could have greater impact because we'd had all that experience of local impact. So we switched to greater impact. We got a much bigger field and a bigger challenge of how we continue to treat each other and keep our relationships so rich inside, behind the scenes, and carry that outside. Dealing again with our own egos, with others' egos, learning empathy. How do you even talk? How do you treat one another? How do you suspend judgment? How do you keep control within margins? How do you know the Sermon on the Mount by heart and what Jesus was really telling us and put it into practice? And I just know, I work in a lot of places. It's just a fabulous place to be.
And the technology has helped us, Sue, because without Zoom, we could, what it is, it's a COVID benefit or something. They say there's COVID. We've gotten all so good at this Zoom. What a tool for us to be able to bring these teams and create a bond, a connection using just that. People are coming to us with this set of principles that they want to live in their life. It's a core character. You're right. A common character that you don't see in a regular organization.
And there were none of us good at.
Right. And, that character, bringing character to team. We're creating more t-shirts. Where's Lisa? Character is in the team. I love what Andrea said. Andrea Jones says, to lay a foundation, you need steel cords and rails to hold the concrete from cracking. That's true.
Rails. We are those rails. Yeah, Andrea.
We are those rails. So, that was so well said, Sue, and so true about the character of a volunteer. And that makes the volunteer this wonderful asset, for an organization. You got these people, and then treating them well, managing them well, giving them the tools, giving them the resources, making sure they feel valued because they are valued. I read a quote this morning that said, volunteers are not paid because they're worthless. They're not paid because they're priceless.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's very true. I think it's just something you do out of your heart, something that it just fulfills you. And like Sue was saying, it's absolute love. I mean, you're really putting yourself out of the picture and your empathy, right? Something we weren't good at before, something we didn't know how to do.
We take that right side of our inventory sheet that we want to, those of you that think I'm speaking a different language now, but our inventory sheet and our legacy guide is the left side of our liabilities and the right side of our assets. And as we practice the right side, because we know that step 7 really works, right, guys? So we practice that right side. We do begin to get this character that is more defined by love, by honesty, unselfishness, purity, and love on a daily basis. Those 4 absolutes, right? And then all of a sudden we find ourselves volunteering, right? And doing stuff and getting.
That's what happens with the 4 absolutes.
And Deyra, you said empathy, it's something you didn't know how to do. That is the key. It is not a be. None of us are empathetic. We do empathy. And that's a skill. That's an awareness. You can practice it. You can be, what it looks like. And to stand there and, I'm pretty self-centered and I'd love to be empathetic, but never having seen it, it is a skill. It's a decision. I want to do it. It's an awareness. It's a transformation. That should be a needlepoint too.
And also I was going to add action, just getting to action, because a lot of times we say we want to volunteer, we want to help, but we never do it, and when I've been put on the spot many times, I just say, okay, I'll do it. Can you speak at this meeting? Okay. I just say yes, and put myself being uncomfortable.
And do it in Spanish.
In any language. If I need to learn a new language, let's go. I mean, it's just, when you want something, you're willing and you're passionate about it, like Tom said, it just comes from the heart and it's priceless. Like that's the reason why volunteers don't get paid. It's not because they're worthless, but because they're priceless, right?
I love it. That's we can steal that one and put a t-shirt on it. So for you guys who are volunteers, I appreciate and thank you so much for everything that you do. For all of you out in our audience who have volunteered for us at all different levels around the country that are listening, because it's our commitment to you as our team here to do everything we can to make your volunteer experience the best that it can be, to allow you to do what your heart has put in, the desire in your heart, and help us to, accomplish that mission of ending addiction. We do want to make a commitment to you that we're going to do all we can to allow you to be able to volunteer the way you want to, and let those doors be open. Hey guys, remember #recovered in the comments. We're going to have our t-shirt giveaway in a few minutes. We're getting near the end of our hour, but #recovered gets you in the drawing that Casera will be running in a few minutes. But any last words, guys? This was a great conversation. Again, the hour goes so fast, and I'm so interested in this, and it's such a big part of going to be our success is how we attract our volunteers, how we take care of our volunteers, and how our volunteers are able to serve the least, the last, and the lost, those hurting that come through the door and need to hear this message. Any last words from you guys?
I'm just looking at all these comments. We've had a really active audience here this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are. Oh, thank you. Love meeting Deyra. Good
Thank
topic.
you, Sue. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor being here, and I'm very, I'm very happy, excited, and can't wait for New York. I'm excited for that.
What's the date?
Well, I've got 2 dates out to St. Anthony's Shelter, and I'm waiting for them to get back to me on which. It'll be middle of October. Middle of October is what we're shooting for. And Jonathan Klein, you're watching me. You're out on Long Island, and your wife. We may need you to come in and help us with 5th Steps there in the South Bronx. I hope you guys are willing to do it. Also, in Schooley's Mountain, we'll be looking for you guys from Long Island to re-engage. Matt Enland, we're going to see you in Indiana. Tom Clancy, we're going to see you in Indiana. He's on our leadership team now and volunteering, and he came to us directly from this, guys. He found us on Recovery Live and then came to a retreat in Amory and got lit up on fire to be a volunteer. Really, Deyra came to us via Zoom too, right? That's how you got connected with us. Mm-hmm. So all these avenues are great. Our volunteers.
The virtual retreat was your first retreat.
Yeah, the virtual. Yeah. And like I said, I shut my door and I was focused and really listened to everything, because you do need to do the steps very thoroughly and like honestly as you can for it to really hit you,
But then you wanted to go to a live one.
I wanted to go into an in-person. Yeah. And now I'm addicted. Now I'm addicted to retreats. I love them. So I'm going to the Loma Mar in August, in a couple weeks.
So, she does it to my last note is that's the evolution that we're hoping to bring is somebody comes in, they engage with us, they have an experience, then they engage again, and then they come back and serve. And Deyra has done that. She's grown right through the process and has now come back to serve, and now is going to serve at the highest level with us in the South Bronx after doing Loma Mar at the end of August. So thank you very much, Deyra. Looking forward to having lots of fun and lots of satisfaction working here in New York City and all around the country, wherever see our team members. So guys, if you want to be part of our team, when you see those emails come from Casera asking if you want to be involved, reach out to us and we'll connect you with the team. Right. And we'll connect you with one of our local teams, and we got leaders around, and we'll get you involved and get you up the road. You can come to New York too someday, or come with us to St. Joseph, or come with us to Portland, Oregon, which is coming, or Los Angeles, California, which is our
Orlando.
And Orlando. Yes. Orlando, Winter Park. You can come and see the formats. Yes. Yes. All right. So again, I want to thank you guys. Thank you, Deyra, for coming. Have a great day. We'll be talking to you soon. Same with you, Sue. Thank you very much for all your time. We'll have you guys on again. I'm sure it was a great show. And let's go to Casera. Let's do our t-shirt thing, Casera. How many do we have on our t-shirt giveaway? Let's see. 12 people. 12 people. We'll give it another 30 seconds, right, Casera? Let's just see. Now that they see it, they'll all panic and want to put their #recovered in. so that they can get their name on it. Any last minute people? A few more seconds. Any last minute people wanting that? Hashtag recovered t-shirts. And if you want a different t-shirt or something else, guys, go on our website and you can purchase almost anything you want. Embrace uncomfortable, I think, is coming. All right, Casera, let's go. Let's do it. Tom Clancy. All right. Thomas is outside the Chicago area. He's going to meet us in Indiana. You're going to get your shirt. Thanks, Tom. Send us your address, although I think we already have your address. So thanks, everybody, for being with us today. I thought it was a great conversation. We'll be back next week with another version on the 12th of August of Recovery Live, where we're going to be talking everything recovery. Everybody have a great and safe weekend, and we'll see you next time.